Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on December 12th, 2025, Friday, December 12th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle, very happy to be joined by Mr. Jonah Booker. Man, nothing really to talk about on the show today. There's really nothing going on, JB.
Not a whole lot. I mean, my goodness, what an entertaining week.
Goodness gracious. We have to start off with Sherrone Moore. I believe he's still in jail as we speak. Maybe that'll change as the show's going on, but wow, it's surreal. I was doing the show 2 days ago, and he was the still the head coach of Michigan. This is my first show since Sherrone Moore has been fired and jailed. Crazy stuff, man.
It's unbelievable. I mean, what a epic crash out. I mean, it didn't even get that bad with Mel Tucker whenever he was fired. But the ironic thing about it, Dave, is everybody claims, "Oh yeah, I've known about that." I mean, coast to coast, almost everybody who talks about college football, they all say, "Oh yeah, we've heard about that." And then you get some of the people from the Michigan Beat said, "Oh, they were running cover. Oh, there was nothing there. There was no story until it actually just busted wide open." Like we might look back in 5 years from now, Dave, and ESPN might be running a 30 for 30 on Michigan, how the Harbaugh era ending in Sherrone, how that was such a renegade program from the amount of arrests to the sanctions to, I mean, everything that went on with that program. And I will say this, their athletic director, he's a Teflon Don because I don't understand how he still has a job considering everything that's went on under his watch up there.
That's funny you said that because I thought there was a lot of talk yesterday, a lot of smoke that he might be fired. He survived that whatever meeting they had. I almost put on Twitter before we went on live, but I thought maybe I'll do a little show prep instead of just making jokes on Twitter. I almost said like Ward Manuel. I don't know how in the world he still has a job right now. He must have pictures on everybody on the board of trustees for Michigan because they have an interim president right now. So I'm sure that's
Yeah,
helping. I'm sure that's helping him. But it sounded like the board was finally going to get rid of him, but they didn't. Yeah, I don't know
yeah,
how Ward Manuel still has a job. Maybe because he hired Dusty May. He's like, look, I brought in a good basketball coach, though. It's like, yeah, but this and
right.
this and this and this and this and this. It's crazy, man. They want Kalen DeBoer. Seems no, that different, but it seems like the consensus. Most Michigan fans want Kalen DeBoer. They think that that's a possibility, and maybe it is. Maybe he's sick of being at Alabama and replacing the legend that is Saban. Do you have any feel for who might be the next coach?
I don't. I'm of the mind frame. Could they go down the Penn State route to where you strike out, strike out, strike out? The timing of this, even though it's Michigan, you've had a lot of people sign extensions, some of the big name coaches off the backs of Penn State's job search. And so now you have a lot of top candidates locked in. The one thing about DeBoer down in Alabama, I believe his general manager, um, their version of Mark Pantoni, is a Michigan guy. So they do have that kind of in their favor. Um, and the thing is they talk about the Larry Ellison money, but how much is he really involved? We know that they were supposedly involved with the Bryce Underwood signing and helping secure his NIL. But in the same breath, I believe it was last week, Ward Manuel was just complaining about having to pay the NCAA fine of 30 plus $1 million and how that's a huge issue for them. And he talked about how if it was any other program, well, probably not the top 1%, but he was saying majority of athletic programs across the country, this type of fine will bankrupt their athletic department. And so he's complaining about having to pay that fine that the NCAA levied against them. Fortunately for them, they're able to get out of this Sherrone Moore contract potentially with cause. I mean, there's some stuff that's, reports coming out from Nicole Auerbach saying that, hey, they were alerted that Sherrone was having mental issues and all kinds of stuff. And the way that they handled the process, because he's a state employee, that there could be something there. I don't know, but Sherrone brought this upon himself. I did find it interesting yesterday that allegedly Michigan boosters hired private detectives to drum up dirt on Sherrone Moore because they were trying to get him out of there. So, so there, if just smoke was out there in Michigan saying, "Oh, we were just made aware of this with tangible proof this week," and you compound that with supposedly boosters hiring private detectives. I wonder if it was Ryan Day's brother's firm. Uh,
Well played. Well
yeah,
played.
and hiring detectives and lawyers because they were trying to backdoor Sherrone Moore. You almost had to ask if that's really true. What coach wants to step into that type of mess? Because I mean, you look at the Rich Rod situation. You have boosters that were trying to push him out. There's some smoke out there that boosters are the ones that are leaking the information to Justin Spiro, who's the Michigan State guy who's been cracking a lot of this stuff. So it's a hot mess up there.
Yeah, Josh Pate said he's known for a month. You know, I mean, like if like, and Josh is very well connected, but if he's one of many college football insiders that have said, yeah, like you were saying earlier, Jonah, that like, yeah, I knew about this. If they knew, Michigan knew. And did you hear about the DoorDash driver? There's all this with the the
Yeah.
investigation, like you're talking about, and the private investigators, and these people trying to drum up dirt on Sherrone, but it might have been that DoorDash driver that was the straw that broke the camel's back, huh?
It could be the DoorDash driver supposedly was the one that gave him anonymous tip. And I believe there's a post going around that was sent to the student body to if they have additional evidence on Sherrone to send it in. They provided an email. I believe it was from the intern president. So they're trying to say, hey, Sherrone was a renegade person up there who was just an absolute horn dog that was doing a lot of stuff that he shouldn't have been doing as a head coach of Michigan. And when you look at it, there is a situation to where if you're a head coach and you're an agent, you're going to have to probably really vet Michigan, even though it's a considered a probably a prestigious job as far as 30,000-foot view in college football. When you open up the blinds and you open up the windows, there's a lot of stench that's been surrounding that program for numerous years. Like you really have to figure out like, is this what I want to get myself into? Because if you're DeBoer or you're any coach that has a really stable job, do you really want to go into that pressure cooker with everything that's going on surrounding that program right now?
That's the thing. Before we move, we're going to talk mostly Ohio State football. We did want to touch on the biggest story in college football right now, and really like just one of the biggest stories, period, right now. It's interesting reading like people who are complete like neutral observers on this are like, wow, like because we're so close to it, like being Ohio State fans and like reading on like the Bucknuts and Twitter and everything, but hearing people that have no dog in the fight saying, wow, it's one thing after another at Michigan. We're like, yeah, it is. I do feel like I do want to say I feel bad for his wife and his kids. He's got 4
Yeah.
daughters. That sucks. And he's 39 years old. And now, like, I don't even think he's seen him since because he's been in jail unless they've gone to see him, which I imagine they have not. I feel bad for his wife and daughters. Just want to say that.
Yeah.
So
I will say this. I will forever believe that Moore was a patsy as far as this job. Because you think about when Jim Harbaugh left, he was essentially ran out by Ward Manuel because of everything that was going on. So he had been trying to get out of there for the longest period of time. Took the NFL job, pretty much gutted the staff, took a lot of the key players, especially their strength and conditioning coach. Now you had that whole cloud surrounding the Michigan program, who at that time no respectable coach was going to step into that type of buzzsaw. Sherrone was given that job, and I think till this day it was one of those situations. Let him ride this out until we get out from underneath these NCAA sanctions or clouds that could be coming down the pipeline. Once they got out of that and they realized he is just an average coach at best, they could potentially do better. I think that they were looking for ways to get him out of there. He was next year would have probably been his last year regardless. You look at that schedule, they got Oklahoma, Oregon, Indiana, Ohio State, Iowa, Penn State on that schedule. So next year is going to be hard. This year was kind of that easy schedule. They pretty much had a 2-game schedule, which was Ohio State and Oklahoma, and they got ran through by both of those squads. So I think Sherrone Moore, I think he was just put there as a placeholder for the time being.
Yeah. And I think, a lot of Ohio State fans, if not every Ohio State fan, had pretty much the same reaction from a football standpoint. It's like, damn, I wouldn't have mind Sherrone being the head coach there for a while because I'm sure they will upgrade whoever they get. Yeah, he was. He was, and I agree. He was kind of a patsy. All right, let's move on. You want to do right guard or you want to do Brian Hartline first? What do you want to do?
Let's do the right guard.
Right guard. Do we think Gabe Van Sickle era is going to be – this would be the time to do it. He's been playing well. When he replaced Tegra never went back in. Gabe played well, finished the game. Now you have 3.5 weeks off before you play another game. Now's the time to do it if you're going to do it, right? I think we might see Gabe Van Sickle be the starting right guard moving forward. What do you think?
I think so, and I think this long layoff gives him the opportunity to get a lot of live reps with the first team, to get in sync with that unit. You cannot go into a heavyweight title fight, well, not title fight, but a heavyweight fight with Tegra grading out at a 17% pass blocking. Like, you just can't do it. If you're playing Miami has an extremely athletic front four. You also look at Texas A&M. They're very active up front as well. There's no way you can get Tegra in there playing that way. And I believe I was reading Havoc stats is something that a lot of people take into consideration. So when you're looking at it, every 4 plays that Tegra was in the game, Indiana's defensive line, they were able to create havoc against Julian Sand and this Ohio State offense. So when that happens, the offense was completely off schedule. There were a lot of times where guys were open. Julian Sand didn't have the opportunity to take his shots because of that right guard spot. So, yeah, I agree. If you're going to do it, then do it now. This gives you the opportunity. I mean, he came in, Tegra's replacement came in and graded out like an 86 or something like that at pass blocking. They played the same amount of snaps. So you can see, like, hey, if Tegra's not going to be able to get it done, you have a viable replacement who can play at a high level. He grading out at an 86 against the number 1 team in the country should give this kid a lot of confidence as they prepare for either Miami or Texas A&M.
He reminds me a little bit of Sareveld at this time last year. Sareveld was a redshirt freshman last year, which is it's crazy. Like his meteoric rise as a third-year sophomore, he becomes a captain. That's pretty rare for a first-year starter, and playing everywhere on the line except for center so far in his Ohio State career and doing it well. And I'm not saying Van Sickle is as good as Sareveld was last year at this time. He's not quite as far along as Austin is, but he reminds me, same body type. Just one of those just physical, just big offensive linemen, naturally strong, and then just has been busted in the weight room to me even stronger. Yeah, I think it's time for some Van Sickle as the starter. All right, let's get to Brian Hartline. What do you want to see happen there? Do you think he should stay on? What do you want to see happen there? Some people are just saying he should just go to South Florida. It's too much. Yeah. Even though Tom Herman did it, it's different now. It's more games.
Right.
Different with NIL and recruiting and everything. What's your take on that, Jonah?
I'm kind of torn, to be honest, because he obviously has earned a right to stay with the team. And if that's what he wants to do, then, hey, you should give him the opportunity to do it. Now, there obviously has to be some tough conversations behind closed doors to say, hey, when it's go time, we need you here. And Brian has even came out and admitted the week of the Indiana game with the hiring process and getting that South Florida job, he said it was very difficult to kind of juggle both things there. And for a first-time head coach, you just hope that, hey, once it's go time, that he's locked in and he's ready to go. So I do think he's earned that right. I can totally understand the other side of it, where people saying, like, thank you for everything that you've done for this program. You are now the South Florida coach. Go be the South Florida coach. We got this from here. And we love you. We appreciate it. Godspeed. Go do your thing, Brian, and wish him well. And let Ryan Day focus on calling the plays from here on out. So I do understand both sides of it. I am torn, but I truly believe that if you're going to make this run, if you can get a focused Brian Hartline and he's locked in, I say it's all hands on deck. You want to be able to have as many quality coaches, quality minds in that room who's going to help you to win. Is Brian going to help you to get to that next level, to win against Texas A&M or Miami? If the answer is yes, you bring him back. So I'm saying, hey, as long as he's focused, long as he's locked in, bring him back, because to make this run, you're going to need everybody there, laser focus.
And I trust whatever Ryan Day wants to do and Brian Hartline, because I do agree. If he wants to stay and Ryan Day wants him to stay, then through the playoff run, then he absolutely should. He's earned that. But I trust whatever Ryan Day comes up with, whatever Coach Hartline comes up with. I trust those guys profusely. All right. I'm going to circle back on the offensive line a little bit later, but I do want to ask you this. All right. If you had to pick right now, especially knowing Ohio State would play, they're going to be playing in the state of Texas like they did last year against Texas. Would you rather play Miami in the quarterfinals or A&M?
I think we'll rather play Miami. Thinking about it, you get Carson back, and he's prone to throwing up some. I do think Texas A&M, their style of play could give Ohio State a little bit of fits with a mobile quarterback. And the thing is with Mendoza, what made Mendoza really good in that Big Ten championship was his off-script plays, being able to maneuver outside of the pocket and make some of those throws. Depending on how Texas A&M quarterback, because he's one of those streaky shooters. It reminds me like an NBA player. Like when he's hot, he is hot. When he's off, he is off. But the Texas A&M quarterback, he has the ability to really hurt you with his legs. They do have a solid run game. They have a defense that can get after you. But with Miami, I think that matchup with Mario Cristobal, Ryan Day going against Miami, I would take that matchup. Winner of that one, get Georgia out here in Glendale.
I know. I love it. Our home away from home. Hopefully I'll be seeing you. I thought I might be seeing you for spring training. Maybe I'll see you before that.
Yeah.
Maybe. What am I talking about? I'll be seeing you before that. Yeah, that's awesome. And I like the idea of playing Georgia all the way over in Phoenix better than I like playing Georgia in Atlanta. Know, I'm being kind of facetious there. Of course, I like that better. Yeah, man, I'm kind of torn as far as like the teams themselves. I think they're very evenly matched, and I think Miami and A&M, I think it's going to be a really good first-round game. It being at Kyle Field is huge for A&M. But, yeah, it comes down to me. I'd rather – even though Ohio State got the job done against Texas last year, and even though the Dallas area is more of a Longhorn area than it is Aggie area, there's still plenty of Aggie fans there, and they're only 3 hours away. So I would much rather play Miami if we're playing the game in Dallas, Arlington, than play a team from Texas. But, yeah, I think that's going to be a really good first-round game. That's going to be next Saturday. I'd love to be talking about the Heisman ceremony tomorrow. It's cool that Julian's going to be there. He's very excited. Yeah. He met with the media this week. It's still an awesome honor for a redshirt freshman to be a Heisman finalist. I mean, maybe next year he'll win it.
Well, how about that? How cool was that by the Heisman committee releasing the top 10? They've never done that to show how the final polls and voting shaked out. 3 Buckeyes finished in the top 10 in the Heisman voting. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, that they had that type of transparency to show like, hey, this is what 5 through 10 voting shaked out.
Yeah, you're right, because they usually wait. I remember when Orlando Pace finished 4th for the Heisman. I mean, they didn't like obviously say that ahead of time. He might have got an invite to New York though, because he finished 4th. I can't remember if he got an invite or not, but like it was crazy. An offensive lineman finishing 4th was like felt like he won the Heisman. He really should have won the Heisman. Danny Werfel won the Heisman that year. It's like, who do you think's a better football player, Orlando Pace or Danny Werfel? Let me get you. I mean, you know so much about football. You're a former college football player yourself. You follow it super close. Why in the hell does Ohio State struggle so much in red zone and short yardage? And it's not just this year. Last year was the reprieve because Will Howard could run. They had 2 great running backs, Chip Kelly, all the different factors. But we've seen this a lot where Ohio State has an explosive offense, but red zone and short yardage, they struggle. Why? Why, JB?
I will say the number one reason, you got too many tight ends on the field. This 13 and 14 personnel, they need to trash that. It is basically playing rugby in a scrum. You are doing a huge kind of a break for the defensive coordinator once you start taking first round wide receivers off the field once you get into the red zone. You don't see NFL teams doing that. That's like saying, hey, we're going to take CeeDee Lamb or Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson off the field once we get into the red zone to bring in our third or fourth tight end. Like that right there is like crazy. Like any defensive coordinator is like, thank you. You're taking Carnell Tate off the field. You know what? We can just cheat up and we can absolutely just trigger because we know you're not going to beat us deep with Bennett Christian on a pass play who's probably caught a handful of balls all season. So that's the first thing. They're way too boxed in the red zone. You got to spread it out. When you look at that Brandon Ennis touchdown, when they spread it out against Michigan after they struggled, when they were boxed in to run the ball in, they spread it out to Brandon Ennis with Max Clare flexed out, and they ran a little twist and crossing route. That was beautiful. That was a great play call right there. So you have to be able to spread it out and give me JJ one-on-one with any cornerback in the country with a fade, a quick slant, anything, mesh routes, but they just have to be creative. That's the second thing. Like I feel like Keenan Bailey has quite a bit of an influence on this, and they're trying to run this 3 and 4 tight end sets. I mean, Bennett Christian graded out at a 6%, Dave, in pass blocking. I've never seen a PFS score that low for pass blocking. Like it was in the red. They highlighted it red. I'm looking at it I'm like, he graded out at a 6% out of 100. I mean, that right there tells you like you just can't play that many guys, because if you're going to play them, you need those guys to be road dogs, throwing people out the club. You're just not getting that. So those are my two things is, hey, get out of this 13 and 14 personnel in short yardage and in the red zone and use your creativity. You have it there. It's not like Chip Kelly took the red zone playbook with him. I'm sure Ryan Day has everything that they went through last year in that Rolodex and say, hey, we can run this in the red zone if we really get down there, and it's a gotta have it moment.
I think that's very well said. How much do you put on the offensive line?
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have to put someone on the offensive line. You got to be able to fire off the ball and this is something that Justin Fry always said, especially last year, when everyone in the stadium knows it's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, and it's a gotta have it moment, and you're running the football, we need to be able to convert those into first downs. So that was Justin Fry's mantra last year. So if everybody in Colts Stadium knows it's 4th and 1 and we're running the football, and Ryan Day calls that, it's still on the offensive line to fire off that ball and knock somebody back to get those 1 to 2 yards that they needed. So there is some type of, I won't say blame, but there's responsibility on that offensive line. Once they get down there, them boys need to be able to knock somebody off the ball. But I thought Bo Jackson ran really well in the red zone. And that was just one thing that you and I talked about too, Dave, because the one thing with Donaldson is Bo Jackson would get him down there during the season and they would bring Donaldson in. And it was up and down. It was kind of like a roller coaster. Sometimes he would get it in, sometimes he wouldn't. But the one thing about CJ Donaldson, he ran so high with his pad level that he would get knocked back a lot of times. They kept Bo in there, and I thought Bo ran really, really well. And his vision and his ability to kind of squeeze through those holes where it looked like he didn't have much to probably pick up 6, 7, 8 yards and make it 2nd and 2 down there in the red zone.
Amen. I'm, I've said it all year. I mean, CJ Donaldson gets knocked backwards all the time, and great running backs always fall forward. And when they say always, obviously sometimes you're going to get knocked backwards, even if you're Derrick Henry. All right, last thing. Tyler Bowen. I really like Tyler Bowen. I talked to him. I think he does a good job on the recruiting trail. He's giant Scotty Scheffler, as I call him. He looks like a giant Scotty Scheffler. And Scheffler's not a small dude by any means. I really like Tyler Bowen. But we're talking about the offensive line, and what is his title? Now, sometimes titles can be misleading. They can really not mean anything. But he's the run game coordinator. He's the run game coordinator.
That's a good point. I mean, and you also take into consideration they have 3 offensive line coaches. One's leaving to go to Arkansas, but all throughout the season, they had 3 offensive line coaches. But here's the thing, though. You look at where they were at with the pass blocking. All season, you gave up 6 sacks. You gave up 5 against Indiana. But for the most part, they were playing extremely well when it came to the pass blocking. You look at the last 5 games of the season, the run game was averaging basically 199 yards rushing over the last 5 games average in the regular season. Now you can say, well, that look at the competition that they were playing against. It really wasn't up to snuff. Once they came up against Indiana, then they were also, being able to really get after that offensive line. So when we get to these playoffs, I'm curious to see how they operate, Dave, because where is that open up the throttle offense that Ryan Day talked about? On that second half, the offense only had 3 possessions. They were so slow and methodical the way that they were operating. And I was thinking to myself, if this is the time to open up the Ferrari, the time is now, buddy. I was like, we're on an 8-minute drive. You got them on the heels. Like, let's go. Let's go. It's time to play a little bit faster. And when you play that slow, when the margin of errors are that small, going up against competition that's as good as you, then you leave a lot at risk there. You have to be able to convert into touchdowns. If not, you're in a heap of trouble if you can't convert. And you look at the end of the way that Ryan Day handled the end of the first half as well. Once again, slow and methodical. Took a sack on the first play. You had 2:47 to get the ball. Time to get into your 2-minute offense. 3 timeouts to go. You run it, and you look at that. They were running 40 seconds off the clock with 2 minutes to go into the game. You put points on the board right there, Dave, even a touchdown. Now you're up 11 going into halftime with the football. You essentially got Indiana on the ropes right now, but they were so slow, just taking your time, running the football. You ended up punting the ball back. Indiana, luckily, made a mistake as well where they didn't burn any timeouts to get the ball back and try to mount a drive. And that's where I was like, okay, where's that throttle at, Ryan Day, that we were talking about? I thought all throughout the season you were going slow for the moments like this where it's a championship trophy on the line to where you're going to open it up and let's put some pressure. We have better athletes. We have the best skill position in all of college football. You are not going to play us in the phone booth. Let's get you out, make you run sideline to sideline. And if you can force us you can shut down our offense when we're going fast, tip of the cap to you. Job well done.
Tip of the cap to you, sir. Merry Christmas to you and your family. I'll be off next week, so I won't see you till the day after Christmas, presuming that you'll be available. But yeah. Merry Christmas to you and yours, my friend.
Hey, Merry Christmas to you, and thank you all, as always, for joining us on the Friday show. We appreciate you, and happy holidays to everyone.
That's right. He is Mr. Jonah Booker. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thanks to Jay Book. Like I said, so I'll be off next week. Dan Rubin will have you covered, and I'm sure a cast of characters. Maybe he'll get Patrick Murphy to do one of the shows. We'll see. But I'll be back a week from Monday, so I won't be gone too long. So anyway, like I said, I'll be with you guys, the week of Christmas. But happy holidays, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. And 3 wins away from history. I'm feeling good. I'm still basking, in case you're wondering. There's just no doubt about it. I mean, yeah, the Indiana game sucked, but now you're hearing a lot of people. I like this. The mental side of sports is so important. A lot of people are doubting Ohio State now, not even really talking about them. And when they talk about them, they're like, yeah, Ohio State will probably get to the semifinals and then lose to Georgia. It's like, okay, we'll see. I'm hoping for 10 overtimes when Miami and Texas A&M play. I want a marathon game. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about it. I'm feeling pretty good about Ohio State's chances here. It's like, yeah, they have a tough draw, but that's how the playoffs are. I mean, let's go. They're going to be favored by whoever they play in the quarterfinals. If they play Georgia, they're going to be favored over Georgia. And if they play Indiana again in the national championship, they'll be favored over Indiana. Doesn't mean they're going to win. They were favored over Indiana in the Big Ten championship game. And I'm not penciling in Indiana. I think Texas Tech has a good chance of getting there. I think Oregon has a good chance. So it's not like Indiana has like this easy draw. They're going to have to get through either Texas Tech or Oregon, who I think are both really good teams. I think Texas Tech is really good, but Ohio State's the best team. Ohio State's the best team. Indiana obviously deserves the number 1 ranking, number 1 seed. No one disputes that. But Ohio State is the best team. And, they showed that during the regular season. They finished it with just hammering Michigan in their own house, taking over the stadium. Buckeye fans, many of you, good job taking over the stadium. Brutus, great job by Brutus up there. So, listen, blip on the radar if things work out the way we think they're going to work out. The Big Ten championship game, it doesn't really mean that much anymore. What matters is beating Michigan and winning the national championship. Yeah, you want to win the Big Ten title too. That is a distant third, in my opinion. National championship is 1, beating Michigan 2, and then a distant third, win the Big Ten championship. In my opinion, you guys might disagree, but Natty, beat Michigan, and then Big Ten title. Because if you said, oh well, they won the Natty and they won the Big Ten title, but they lost to Michigan. Like, no. Let's trade that one for the Big Ten title. Now, you'd like to have all 3. I wanted the Heisman as well. Okay, I wanted it all. We're greedy with our sports teams, and that's fine. But blip on the radar if they win 3 straight games. All right, guys. Thanks again to Jonah Booker. He's awesome. Thanks to Jay Book. Thanks to all of you, and I will see you guys a week from Monday. Go Bucks.